welcome everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that Banyan Books is on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including the territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. My name is Jacob Steele, Events Coordinator for Banyan Books and Sound. Banyan is Canada's leading bookstore in spirituality and healing for 50 years. The store is open for in-person browsing, and we also have a great and easy-to-use web store where you can order online and we'll ship the books to you wherever you are. You can order Chani Nicholas's book from Banyan and support a local independent bookstore. Just visit banyan.com. So welcome again. Tonight's event is with Chani Nicholas, discussing themes from her new book, You Were Born for This, Astrology for Radical Self-Acceptance. So Chani Nicholas is a Los Angeles-based New York Times bestselling astrologer and author of You Were Born for This, Astrology for Radical Self-Acceptance. She has been a counseling astrologer for over 20 years, guiding her community of over 1 million monthly readers to discover and live out their life's purpose through understanding their birth chart. She is the resident astrologer for Oprah magazine and has been featured in the New York Times, Los Angeles Times, Rolling Stone, The New Yorker, The Atlantic, and on Netflix. It's a thrill to have you with us today. Welcome, Chani Nicholas.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the land acknowledgement. I just want to acknowledge that I'm on Tongva and Gabrielino territory, unceded land, and also that I am no longer the resident astrologer for O Magazine. So just to clarify that. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Also want to apologize for overwhelming Banyan Books capacity for tonight. It was a phenomenal response. So I get the message that these might be something that we want to do going forward. So it's definitely something we're thinking about. Okay, so I wanted to thumbs up, great. And also just like let me know if my sound goes off or anything weird happens and you need me to adjust anything. Here we are on the internet, and I'm hoping this is going to be a little bit of a break. So let's, if you want to join me in just a little bit of a grounding exercise, wherever you are, get comfortable, put things down, allow your body to, you can do this with your eyes open or your eyes closed, whatever feels comfortable for you. But just like if you're sitting up, sit up. If you're lying down, stretch out. And just want you to feel your body for a moment. And just feel the weight of your body. And just do like a very light scan of how your body's doing in this moment. So just to check in, your body, my body, our bodies deal with so much each and every day. There's such an incredible impact of all the things, especially all the information that we take in, and the body responds to all of that. So just for the next 5 seconds, feel your body and feel your breath, and just acknowledge anything that's present. And I always like to acknowledge the body before we learn, because we get so caught up in our heads that we forget how much wisdom the body also holds. So I might say some things tonight that make you wonder what I'm talking about, or make you feel like you need to learn a bunch of things, and that's great. And also, I just want to remind us all that our bodies hold so much wisdom, and that anything I say tonight is really just a reminder of what you and your body already know. So, with that, you can slowly open the eyes or keep them closed for the rest of the event. But it's good to be here. So excited to share this with you. Okay, so one of the main reasons why I wrote the book, You Were Born for This, was because I just wanted to get down like the bare minimum, bare basics of what I had been teaching online for so long. I just needed like a quick resource for folks to turn to so that we could then have a conversation about your chart. So You Were Born for This is really meant to be like just an initial discovery launching pad of some of the ways in which we might start to construct how we're looking and how we're thinking about our astrology and about our charts. So one of the things that I wanted to include in the book, but I wasn't allowed to include in the book, one of the things that I was deterred from including in the book is this really important concept. So I just also want to say that the perspective that I'm coming from is mostly a Hellenistic perspective. It's a traditional astrological perspective, but it's mainly Hellenistic. And so I'm coming from that framework, and I talk about it in the book. I've talked about it a lot. I love rules and I love order and I love structure. And I find that this astrology gives me all of that. And it's a very, very elegant system. It's a very, very elegant and nuanced way of approaching the astrology. So for that, it calms me. It helps me to hold all of the many, many pieces. And then also just to say there's a gajillion rules and they can also get very unelegant sometimes. And so I'm just going to introduce one very basic rule, and it's about how to understand the nature of planets. Okay, so one of the things I look at, the first thing I look at when I look at a chart is, well, definitely the ruler of the ascendant, obviously where the sun and moon are, what the rising sign is. But I also want to look to see if it is a day or night chart. Meaning, and for those of you who know this already, this workshop, you're going to know all the things that I'm going to say, which I'm assuming there's probably a lot of you. But if you're born in the day, it means that the sun is in the sky. And if you're born when the sun is no longer in the sky, in this system, you're considered to have a night birth. Even if there's still a lot of light in the sky, if the sun has gone below the horizon, or if it's not yet come up over the horizon, you have a night birth. And two of the things that are the most important, as we talk about in the book, in your chart, are the sun and the moon. They are the lights. They are the luminaries of the sky. They are our sources of light. Obviously, the light is very different. The sun's light is permeating, and it kind of it can wash out a lot of nuance. The sun is, of course, our source of light and heat and warmth, and it's also a source of conscious awareness. But it does, in a sense, have a kind of effect where we might lose some of the shadows, right? If we're just right in the light, we don't get to see a lot of the nuances, or we don't get to be able to parse them out. Whereas the night is, obviously, the moon is always waxing and waning. We have a different amount of light from the moon all the time. When it is gone, there is no major light in the sky. But then when it's full, it's this like incredible silvery light. And each night the light changes, especially if we're in a place where there isn't a lot of electricity. I was just in Joshua Tree. It was such an incredible experience to be with the sky in that way. I had really missed it, and reminded me of just how theatrical the night sky is. It's such an incredible experience to have. So The difference between the day and the night is obviously the most drastic difference that there is in our interaction with the world. And we have to remember that astrology is born out of people that didn't have electricity and didn't have distractions like we do today, and obviously didn't have technology. And so we, rose and set with the sun, but we also had this theater of the night, and the seasons were incredibly, obviously, like the most important thing. And that's all about the sun cycle through the year and what the sun cycle through the year is going to give us. But it's also tied to understanding like where we are in time and space, is also tied to the night sky. So the sun and the day sky gives us a certain type of map of what time of year it is and how strong the sun is and how much light we're going to get, like where exactly it is in the sky gives us time. But so too does the night, and the constellations that rise and set are different throughout the year because the sky keeps changing. And so both daytime and nighttime give us a different way, or are always helping us to keep time before we had things like clocks and watches and phones. So our conscious awareness was really rooted in the sun and moon. And so in traditional astrology, especially like in Hellenistic astrology, a lot of the times the sun is seen as, of course, the essential self, but also Demetra George also always calls it the divine mind. And the divine mind is said to be that little spark of creation, of divine creative intelligence that's planted in us. And that is thought to be seen through the sun in this system. And the moon is the body and the physical self. So Demetra George talks a lot about the soul, the sun, the divine mind needing to come into and inhabit the body in order to live out and get to fully express this human life. And so the body is the receptacle and also the vehicle and also the conspirator, the partner to the divine mind. And so the dance between the sun and moon have been so important for our conscious awareness. The moon, of course, and its cycles has taught us how to count, taught us how to tell time. It's helped us to connect the days of a menstruating body and the cycles of the moon and all of those things being connected. And so both have helped us to develop, we could say that both have helped us, humankind, especially from the earliest, both have helped us to tell time, to raise our conscious awareness. Of course, the equinoxes and the solstices, hugely important. The world over, major monuments, religious rites and ceremonies and rituals are tied to that, as well as to the moon. Okay, so we have these two lights, and they're everything to us. Again, before we had technology, before we had like industry, before we had so much of convenience that we have now, these two lights were always working out this drama, and they were always also helping us to locate ourselves in time and space. So they become two team leaders in this kind of setting. So one of the things that we call it sect, or if you have a day chart or a night chart, those are two different sects, or diurnal or nocturnal charts, same thing. Nocturnal is night, diurnal is day. The sun rules the day team, and to put it like plainly, and the moon rules the night team. And so when you're born during the day, the sun has a little bit more dominance. We might say a lot more dominance in your chart. But when you're born at night, or when you're born after the sun has set or before the sun has risen, then you are going to need to really pay attention to your moon. I would say pay attention to it anyways. Obviously, it's one of the luminaries. It's always going to be important. But if you're a night birth, the moon takes on extra significance. as the luminary that rules your sect, your team. And whether or not you're a day birth or a night birth, it isn't good or bad. They're just different states. They're different kind of ways of working, and they have different team members. But before we get into that, I want to be able to get clear about what I'm actually talking about. Okay. So, okay, yes, I can do it. Okay. So this chart, okay, so this is how you tell. This is why lists are really not that great for looking at your chart, because the chart is, again, the snapshot of the sky when you were born. And this line, we have this little symbol on, so this is at my website, chaninicholas.com. It's chart.chaninicholas.com, but you can just go and click on your chart. So we have this little glyph for the rising sign or the ascendant. Now, the important thing to note is that the sun moves upward. So it's counter to the way things are numbered. Planets don't move down and then up, they move up. So from what we're looking at from left all the way up to the top of the page to right, which is where the sun would set. So this chart has a Libra rising because that sign is the sign that's rising, right? And so where's the glyph for the sun? Here's the glyph for the sun. Now, right across from the ascendant is what we call the DC, the descendant. And the descendant is at 13 degrees of Aries in this chart. The sun is at 16 degrees of Aries. And this is where it gets wonky for me, at least. It's the math gets hard because you're like, wait, it's before, but it's after, but it's. So what's going to happen is, remember, the descendant is where things go down. So the sun, as time passes, because the sky is rotating, it's not like the sun is going into lesser degrees. It's just that the sky is going to rotate and the sun is about to go down. But is the sun yet set? No, because you can see the descendant is still under the sun. The sun has yet to go under the ascendant. Now, the cool thing is that if you have your sun in the 12th house, 11th house, 10th house, 8th house, or 9th house, automatically you have a day chart. No questions asked. If your sun is in the 2nd house, 3rd house, 4th house, 5th house, or 6th house, automatically you have a night chart. No questions asked. The only place that it gets sticky is if you have sun in the 1st house, so sun in the same sign as your rising sign, or sun in the 7th house, sun in the opposite sign from your rising sign, if you're using whole sign houses. If you're not, I can't help you. I can, but I'm not going to in this. Okay, so it's the same though. It'd be like, it's the same visual, right? So if the sun is a greater degree, but in the same sign as the descendant, it's still a day chart. If it's a lesser degree in the same sign as the descendant, it's a night chart. If the sun was here, oh, wait, this is also a good example. Okay, so here's the sun at 20 degrees of Pisces. And here's the ascendant, this little sun symbol. It's at 19 degrees of Pisces. And you can see, oh, there's a whole cluster of planets. This hasn't happened yet, but it will. Is this a day chart or a night chart? Remember, the sun rises upwards. This is a night chart because the sun, even though it's right there, it hasn't come up over the horizon. So this is a night chart. Someone might disagree with me, but that's how I would call it. Okay, here is the ascendant directly across this little dotted line. Here is the descendant. Where's the sun? The sun is here. And the sky is moving down, right? So the sun has set because it's under the descendant. Okay, so that's how you tell a day or night chart. If you have the Chani app, then what happens is all you do, if you're a subscriber to the Chani app, all you do is go into read about your sun and moon And one of them will say, this is your light leader. And then you'll know if your sun is your light leader, you'll know you have a day chart. If your moon is your light leader, you'll know you have a night chart. Okay, that took a lot more time than I thought it was going to. One of my main reasons for doing this delineation is because one of the main reasons for writing the book was to say, yes, the signs are important, but it's really, we have to understand that astrology is about planets. And I wanted to introduce one of the most important planets in the chart besides the sun and moon, and that is the ruler of the ascendant. So there's the ruler of the ascendant is the planet that steers the direction of your life. It's said to be at the helm of the ship, and it is driving your life in one way or another. So the way in which your ship gets driven, the ship of your life gets driven in a direction or not, is in the style of that planet. And it's towards the meaning of the house that planet is in. And besides being an Aries or a Gemini or what have you, if we don't know that, I think we're really lost at sea. I think we're really like, if we're trying to look at our chart and our life through the lens of astrology, and we don't understand where the planet that's in charge of navigating us is moving us to, and we don't understand in what style that's happening in, I think we're disconnected from a major factor of finding our life purpose. Okay, that's in the book. What I wanted to address tonight is that planet on your team or not? So if you have a day chart, I just want you to pause and like figure out if you have a day chart or a night chart. Again, if you have the app, if you're a subscriber to the app, it'll tell you. Okay, so if you have a day chart, your team of planets that's on your side is the sun, that's the light leader, and then Jupiter, and then Saturn, for sure. Those 3 planets are on your team, meaning that they have some kind of governance over your life that the other planets in your chart don't have. If you have a night chart, the moon is your light leader, and then Venus and then Mars are on your team. And those become 3 of the most important planets in your chart. Okay, so that's 6 planets. Now, I'm doing Hellenistic traditional astrology, so I'm not talking about Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto. Those are not rulers of signs to me. Okay, so then there's Mercury. Mercury is always a problem. No, Mercury is always the answer. Mercury is both and, neither or, depending on the time of year. So if Mercury is rising above the horizon before the sun, it's a morning star. If it's setting after the sun is set, it's an evening star. So let's go back to our charts and see what I could possibly be talking about. Okay, remember I said that planets go up and then they apex, this is like noon-ish, and then they go down and this is midnight. So where's Mercury? This is Mercury. Now remember, they're moving down and then they're going to have a rebirth when they come up over the horizon. So you got to look at the order of which planets are going to be rising. This here is the descendant. The sun has just set. You can see this. The sun is setting. And who's in front of the sun? Well, remember, we're not going in order of the signs. We're going counter order because the sky moves this way, even though the planets appear to be moving this way. So the sky is rotating this way, appearing to, and then the planets are actually moving counter to that, but it keeps revolving. Tripped me up for years. Okay. I'm not ashamed to say it. So if it's tripping you up, just kind of like roll with it. Mercury is here. Is it behind or in front of the sun? Well, if the dial is moving this way, it's going to rise before the sun. So this is a day Mercury. Here's the sun. It's about to rise. Where's Mercury? Mercury is here. Is Mercury above the horizon? If this is the horizon, is Mercury above it? Yeah. Mercury has already risen. The sun has yet to. This makes Mercury a morning star also. Remember, it's just moving in this direction from left to right. Then this chart, did I pick all the same things? I did. This is also a day Mercury. So if Mercury was here, it would be a night, it would be an evening star, and it would belong to the night team. Okay, Mercury is a little challenging to figure out sometimes, but you just have to think of the rotation. Either way, you can know for sure if you're a day or a night chart, and you can know for sure if it's a day chart, it's Jupiter and Saturn. If it's a night chart, it's Venus and Mars. And if you know anything about traditional astrology, you'll note that each team has a luminary, a light. One's the sun, one's the moon. And then each team also has a benefic, a planet that brings about good things. The day team, sun, has Jupiter. The night team has Venus. So both have a benefic, both have a luminary and a benefic. I'm telling you, it's very elegant. Then both also have a malefic, planets that are going to be, like a pain in your ass and probably teach you some of the most important lessons of your life and also cause you grief. It's a very mixed bag. Nothing's good or bad, but it's. Okay, so Sun, Jupiter, and then the malefic that belongs to the day sect is Saturn. Then on the moon's team is the moon, Venus is the benefic, and the malefic that belongs to the moon is Mars. And like I said, Mercury is very mercurial, so it'll change, it's either going to be a day chart or a night chart. It's going to be on the day team or the night team, whether it's an evening star or a morning star. It's the only one that changes like that. Okay, so those are the two teams: Sun, Jupiter, Saturn, Moon, Venus, Mars. Mercury might be either. If you have a day chart and you have Scorpio rising, it means that the malefic, the planet that can do some harm, that is not on your team, right? If you have a day chart, who's the malefic on your team? It's Saturn. Saturn can do some good in a day chart, actually. So that's one distinction. In a night chart, the malefic, Mars, that belongs to the night, can do some good. In a day chart, Saturn, the malefic that belongs to the day, can do some good, depending also on other factors. But in general, it's the the one that's on your team. It's like one of a couple teammates. So you've got to be able to rely on them. If you think of it like a game, it's like you want to pass the ball or you want to like tag your teammate. It's not that you're not in need of the other team or that you don't like them or whatever. It's just that there's a need to be in this kind of being able to rely on certain attributes of certain planets. Okay, so if you have a day chart and you're Scorpio or Aries rising, then it means that Mars, the planet that might cause the most challenges to you, is also the ruler of your ascendant. and is the planet that is driving the ship of your life. So, what does it mean to have the planet that can potentially cause you, the most challenges, being also responsible for driving the ship of your life? Well, it means that on one level, now everything I'm saying, we're talking about this really like deep concept in a couple of minutes. So take everything I'm saying as like a jumping off point. But what does it mean if you have also like a night chart? If you're born at night and you've got Capricorn or Aquarius rising, it means that Saturn is the planet that will cause you the most grief because you're a night chart and it's the malefic of the other sect. It's the like planet that's going to be a pain in your ass from the other team. It's the one that's always going to try to block you. It's Saturn. If you're a day chart, Mars is always going to be the planet that's going to like kick you in the shins when you're least expecting it. And again, I'm not saying it's bad or good. It's just like not the most comfortable. If you're a night chart, Venus is going to be the planet that's going to be able to be the glue and the honey that gets good things to stick and helps you build cohesion and helps you build relationships and helps you to create a sense of union with your world. If you're a day chart, Jupiter is going to be your benefic, and Jupiter is going to be the one that can help you gain some prominence and also expand yourself and heal and grow beyond the confines that you've been put in some way. And then the sun, if you're a day chart, is going to help you to shine. And the moon, if you're a night chart, is going to help you to shine just in different ways. Okay. So if you have a day chart and you are a Scorpio or Aries rising, you have the planet that can cause you the most, grief. And if you have a night chart and you have Capricorn or Aquarius rising, you have the planet that can cause you the most grief as your ruling planet. So what do you do with that? Well, quite often, the natures of those planets obviously are going to be like we're the starting point of what we're looking at. And also, quite often, the life itself is going to be steered by a planet that is, or we can say, like a kind of feeling, an undertone, and an understanding of needing to go into what is difficult for and in regard to the planet that's driving you. So for Mars, if you're a day chart and you're ruled by Mars, your ascendant is ruled by Mars, it's all about understanding when to go into combat, what to fight for, how to fight for it, and what to do with one's passion, one's desire, one's rage, one's energy, and what to do with heat. Mars is always going to be about heat. And so are those, I know incredibly successful people who have day charts, who have, Mars as the ruler of their ascendant. Do they need to understand something about the nature of activism or how to fight, when to fight, like being on some kind of like mission in a sense to pave their own direction and go their own way? Absolutely. Is it necessarily like super easy and go with the flow? No, but most people's life also isn't. Are there challenges specific to that planet? Yes, always. And also I think there is for all of us. So if you're a night chart and you have Capricorn or Aquarius rising, then the problems are going to be Saturnian in nature. And difficult Saturn problems have to do with constriction and restriction and denial and rejection. So there's also, again, a lot of different factors that go into determining the strength of a planet, like how the planet is operating. I'm getting a little dry. But just to note that if you have a night birth and you're ruled by Saturn, then there's something about the nature of understanding, again, things like restriction, confinement. You might be someone who needs to also understand the nature of depression. What is it? How does it happen? What is it about? It might be something that you're drawn to, even working in the field of. And that's not obviously the only thing, but Saturn's also related to wealth and to money. So that might be also a thing. But it's just to note that there is this kind of contrariness to the direction of the life. It can feel a little like, God, that's a little extra challenging. Okay. What if you are ruled by the benefic out of sect? What if you have a day birth and you're ruled by Venus? Well, Venus is still Venus. It's still going to be good. It's still about pleasure and joy and love and fun and art and sex and creativity and connection and relationship. But if Venus isn't playing on your team and your ascendant is ruled by Venus, if your life direction is steered by Venus, one of the things that could come up is that all of those really fun things that you want to do might not always help you feel like you're getting to where you want to go. If you have, that's if you have a day birth. If you have a night birth and say Pisces or Sagittarius is your rising sign, and Jupiter, therefore, is the benefic out of sect, it's the good planet, not on your team, then you'll be probably, what I've noticed actually is that night chart people ruled by, with their ascendant ruler, Lord of the First, as Jupiter, is that there's often it's often hard for them to understand how either wise they are or how talented they are at something or what incredible gifts they've got. And that's the thing about being ruled by, or if you have a day chart and you're ruled by the moon, or if you have a night chart and you're ruled by the sun, it can be hard to understand that the thing that you're really good at is actually an incredible gift. And you might say that for the malefics as well. Like if you're ruled by Mars, but you have a night chart, then you might be really good at taking on confrontations, all depending on the sign that Mars is in and where it is. You might be really good at being able to take charge, but you might not recognize it as something that you're good at or that's something that's a gift. If you're ruled by Saturn, if your ascendant is ruled by Saturn and you're a night chart, you might be really good at getting a ton of work done or learning a lot or being able to like kind of like hunker down and shut out the world and do your thing. And it might not make you happy, but it might be like one of your things. So when when our ascendant is ruled by a planet, I do shortcuts. Like I'm ruled by this planet. I'm saying if your ascendant is ruled by a planet that's not on your team, and then we can say Mercury, like if you have a morning star Mercury, but you have a night chart, all the things that you're good at, depending on the other conditions of Mercury, but the Mercury things, learning, speaking, communicating, writing, being able to absorb ideas and understand them, it might not be something that you value. And so quite often the sect in favor is something that we do without thinking about it. And we might even devalue the sect out of favor because it's not something that we're necessarily driven to, or it's not necessarily something that we're even able to witness. So for me, I don't really talk about my chart, but I will say that the ruler of my ascendant is part of the sect that's not in my favor. It's not part of my thing. And it took me so long to figure out that I could do the thing that I was actually enjoyed doing. And it's very connected to my work, and it works really well for me now, but it took me so long to get here. And there's other factors in my chart that talk about the delays, and also the fact that my ascendant is ruled by a planet that's not on my team. It was like trying to decode it took me so long when it was actually one of the most obvious things. Another thing I just want to point out is it's really cool to understand if you were born at night or you were born in the day. I think it's really interesting to think about what the sky looked like when we were born. Like, we were born, and if we looked out the window, what did our parents see, or what did our caregivers see, or what did the doulas see? Like, what was in the sky? That's one of the things that's really important, I think, about understanding what time of day was it, what was in the sky, what was not in the sky. And then it's also can be really interesting, when I give readings for folks, I start with the sect light. I start with the light leader. So if it's a day chart, I start with, when I get to light leaders, I start with the sun and then I go to the moon. But if it's a night chart, I'll talk about your moon for way longer than I'll talk about your sun, or I'll talk about it first. It's not that the sun isn't important if you're born at night. It's just that we have to give prominence to the moon if one is born at night, because that is the light leader. And yes, the sun will tend to hog the stage. And yes, the sun is the giver of light and all of that beautiful stuff, and is the divine mind, and is the essential self and all the things. But if it's a night birth, that moon becomes so prominent. So where your moon is, if you're a night birth, it's where your moon is, what house it's in, what sign it's in, and then who else it's talking to. There's so many things I did not get to. Okay. So quickly, if you can start to locate, like, where's the sun in the chart? Is it in the 12th, 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th house? It's a day chart for sure. If the sun is in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th house, it's a night chart for sure. That's just done deal. If it's in the 1st house or the 7th house, I got to figure out, is it above the horizon? Is it rising above the horizon, or is it setting? Yeah. Okay. So that's the deal. And then you can figure out the Mercury thing might take a minute. We are going to have that on the Chani app very soon, which you have morning star Mercury or evening star Mercury. So we'll be able to answer that for you really soon. But the other thing is, if you know you have a day chart, then you can keep an eye on Mars. I'm not saying that Saturn's not going to also give you a run for your money, but if you know you have a day chart, understanding what Mars is up to will help you so much in terms of detangling some of the hardest things, probably hardest lessons in your life. That's what I think. Also, I'm like always so close to the camera. I feel like I don't trust that you can actually hear me or see me. And then if you have a night chart, if the sun is below the horizon, doesn't matter where the moon is. If the sun is below the horizon, then it's a night chart. If you have a night chart, then you want to see, what is Saturn up to? Because that is the planet that is going to quite possibly give me the most grief. One of the main things, that's the asterisk to that statement, if you have Mars in a really great sign, and if it's with a benefic, or if it's set up in some good way, it's going to be a lot different. If you have, say you have a night chart, and if you have Saturn in a really hard sign like Aries or Cancer or Leo, it's going to be a little extra caustic for you. This is when all the rules it's like you have to add everything up. If your ruler of your ascendant, say you have a night chart, and the ruler of your ascendant is the moon. You have a Cancer rising, and you have a moon as your ruler of your ascendant, and it's also your light leader, so it has extra prominence. extra, extra. Say it's a night chart. So say your moon is sitting in a conjunction to Saturn. That is going to be, it's going to detail one of the challenges that will be along your life's path. Why? Because the moon is steering the direction of your life, because it's the ruler of your ascendant, and it's meeting up with the hardest planet in your chart. See, one of the things about traditional astrology is you get to be really like harsh. And there's a way in which, obviously, I hate binaries, but there's a way in which you can be really binary just to get clear on something. And then from that clarity, you can be like, okay, let's get a little bit more nuanced. So if the moon is in a night chart and it's the ruler of the ascendant and steering the life direction, say it's in Pisces and it's up in the ninth house, then we know that the life direction is moving towards religion and philosophy and possibly travel and like being connected to a vast kind of global network, or being connected to something that's spiritual in nature, or being some kind of teacher. Now, say the ruler of your ascendant is meeting up with or making a hard aspect, so conjunction, opposition, or square to the hardest planet in your chart. In a night chart, that's Saturn. In a day chart, that's Mars. Then we know that something about the nature of Saturn, again, constrictions and restrictions and confinements and separations, is going to mark the life's trajectory in a really major way. Does that mean that things won't still be amazing for that person? No, it just means that we have to work with, deal with, face the problem that as it is, in a sense. I would say that about Saturn, because Saturn's all about reality. So if you have a moon Saturn situation, it can really land in the body as a restriction or confinement of some kind of physical experience. It can also, of course, be about your life direction being met with some kind of major obstacle. And also, if it's, like I said, it's in the ninth house, so then it would also be in the realm of that. It might be like you're really drawn to being in institutions, but you also have like such a hard time with authority there, and all the Saturn stuff starts to build and make itself really known. And always, I think, working with the malefic out of sect, so the hardest planet in your chart, opens up incredible gateways to self-knowledge. If you have a day chart and Mars is in a situation that's challenging, even if it's not, it's still going to demand that you deal with the parts of Mars that you don't like. So things that are too hot, too rash, too extreme, or too confrontational. If you have a night chart, you're going to have to deal with Saturn stuff. You're going to have to deal with authority stuff. Saturn in traditional astrology can represent the father. So it can be like, like patriarchal kind of authority stuff in that kind of domain, either personal or like more structural. Deal with having to work with rules that you don't want to work with. And then again, also restrictions, self-denial, self-rejection, shame, the burden of things. Saturn is really, really heavy. Okay, I've talked a lot about the malefics. Let's talk about the benefics. If you have a benefic that is connected to the ruler of your ascendant, so say you have a day chart and the ruler of your ascendant is Jupiter. Great. This is like fantastic already. Good news. Doesn't mean that Jupiter's in the best place, but it's already some like, okay, we have like the benefic of the sect in favor of the team. This is the good teammate is also the one who's driving the ship of our life. Again, there's other factors, but that's like a baseline. And it's also in a trine to Venus. Then is that going to be good, even though Venus isn't part of the sect in favor? Yes, it's still a trine from a benefic. It's still amazing. Is it going to be completely life-changing? Probably not, but it's going to add something to that Jupiter's ability to expand and open up and find new possibilities. Okay. The other piece that's really important to remember is who in your chart can witness your ascendant. What planets by whole sign aspect can see, can understand your ascendant. And this is also, I think, an easy thing to get around because I'll show you a little trick. Okay, here's the ascendant. If we use whole signs, the ascendant falls somewhere in the first house. And so this whole sign, all of Libra, becomes where the ascendant is and what the ascendant impacts. Planets that cannot see the ascendant are only going to be in 4 places in the chart by whole sign, by traditional aspect, not by quincunxes and inconjuncts and yods and all that stuff. This is just like straight up like old school ascendant, or sorry, aspects. Okay, planets in the 12th house cannot see the ascendant. They are too close. They can't, like, it's like you can't ever, it's in that spot where you just can't witness it. Planets in the 2nd house cannot see the ascendant. Planets in the 6th house cannot see the ascendant. Planets in the 8th house cannot see the ascendant. Why do I mention this? Because again, the ascendant is the place of life. The planet that steers the direction of your life is connected to that. If that planet is in the 2nd house, the 6th house, the 8th house, or the 12th house, it isn't connected to the life force itself. So it's like another added layer of understanding something about your ascendant ruler. Is it part of the sect in favor? Can it witness the ascendant? If it can witness the ascendant, it's like your teammate is like, hey, and you give the special thing, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to pass the ball when we do the thing. I don't know. I'm not a sports person. But if it can't witness your ascendant, it's like a teammate. You're like, where do they go? Where are they? And they're kind of doing their own thing. And maybe there's some other ways in which they can signal to you, but it's a little bit harder. So when that's true, when your ascendant ruler is in the 6th, 2nd, 8th, or 12th, then there's extra work that has to be done to make sure that there's an integration between the life's purpose and the way to get there. We might need some kind of bridge. And if it's also not part of the sect in favor, it might be a reason why it feels harder to get to something that feels meaningful in our life. So I'm trepidatiously going to pause there and see if we have any questions. I know I just threw a lot at you, and it's literally its own book, and there's so many more rules that we can keep adding to how it is we understand our chart and the planets in them. But I wanted to just, again, zero in on the ruler of the ascendant, if it's part of your night team, if it's part of the day team, if it's part of your team or not. If it's a malefic, of sect, out of sect. Oh, that's one thing I didn't answer. Sorry. I didn't talk about. If you have, thank you. If you have a night chart and Mars is the ruler of your ascendant, if you have Scorpio rising or Aries rising, Mars is the ruler of your ascendant, it's like game on. Mars is on your team unless it's in a really hard position. Well, even if it is, it's going to fight for you. And the good things about Mars is that it's about courage, and Mars has a lot of stamina, and Mars is going to be some kind of leader, and it's going to always help you carve your own direction. That's true always. It's just in a day chart, Mars can make that also kind of full of drama sometimes. Like someone might not be able to, really control they're not know how to work with their own anger and passion and desire and all that stuff. That can be one of the, points that's hard, unless you have a day chart and Mars is in a great sign and in a great situation. Even then, it's a little bit less connected to, maybe, or can backfire. I think that's the best way to say it. Backfire a little. If you have a day chart, if the sun is above the horizon and you have Saturn as the ruler of your ascendant, as Capricorn or Aquarius rising, then Saturn's going to be like, okay, let's make rules. Let's make to-do lists. Let's check things off of our rules and to-do lists. Let's be organized and structured and rigorous and thorough. And let's build things that feel like they are going to last and have like a long-standing impact. Saturn is serious, takes itself seriously, takes its mission seriously, and folks will, most likely take you seriously as well. If you have a day chart, I said this, and Jupiter rules your ascendant, it's going to be like optimism and wisdom and feeling like you're connected to something that is really like generous and generative and prosperous. If you have a night chart and Venus is the ruler of your ascendant, then it's like art and connection and relationship and poetry, and not necessarily poetry, but you know what I mean? Like it's going to be the beautiful, wonderful, pleasurable things of life. Aesthetically, there'll most likely be something prominent in your life, in your world. And relationships will be so key. Building relationships, connecting people. It's like Venus is honey, so it's sticky. So it's like able to connect and make good bonds, among other things. Okay, sorry, I'll take questions now.
Oh, hi. So we're getting really close to time, so we don't have too much time for questions. But one question that I personally share and a number of people asked is, what do you do if you don't know your birth time exactly? You might have a sense, but
yeah, so astrology is not the greatest thing in the world for folks that don't know their birth time, and a lot of people do not know their birth time. So none of this applies if you have zero idea if you were born in the daytime or the nighttime. Basically, if you have no idea when you're born, again, it's really common. There's a lot of different reasons why you wouldn't. I would suggest using either sunrise, so having the same rising sign as your sun sign. So just find out what sunrise time was the day you were born. You can just Google it. And then that way you'll be seeing your chart through the lens of your sun, which works really well. Some people also use noon as a starting point, and it's a little different, but I've seen people get really good results with that as well. So either of those, but nothing that I said right now applies to that. I'm sorry.
someone was asking whether the alignment of your chart has an impact on healing from illness.
Your chart will always say a lot about illness, how it manifests, and also how to approach healing for your specific makeup. And it's really important to work with an astrologer that is really skilled and knowledgeable about the body and about how the planets can mark somebody's life in terms of both wellness and illness. But yeah, it says a lot about it.
A number of people asked if you do birth readings, if you do readings.
I do, yeah. I have no time on my calendar for new folks, unfortunately.
And because we're at time and there's so many questions, is there a good way for people to reach you or follow you? What's the best way to?
Yeah, so you can follow me on all the social channels. It's my name, Chani Nicholas, on Twitter, on Instagram. There's app Chani on Twitter and Chani app on Instagram. I think I still have a Facebook. I'll be honest, I don't check it a lot. I think someone's going to start checking it, but Instagram or Twitter is good for me. Hopefully someday soon I'll have a TikTok, but I'm afraid of TikTok.
Well, I really want to thank you for this fascinating discussion about astrology. There's so many takeaways. There's been so much interest. And I want to thank all of you who attended, thousands of from around the world. It's such a blessing to be able to join in this virtual yet real space of shared knowledge and understanding. And also to remind you that you can get Chani Nicholas's book through Banyan Books at banyan.com. If the website is showing that we've already sold out, you can still place your order and we'll get the books shipped to you as quickly as we can. So Chani, thanks again so much. And I'll give it back to you for any last words.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry we didn't get to more questions. I just put in the chat. Oh, maybe this only goes to you. There's a Kickstarter that's happening right now. It's, if you're listening to this live, it's finishing up in the next, I think, 20 hours or so. It's a Kickstarter for a project called Mercury's Brood, which is a Black queer led project that is all about bringing diverse voices to the forefront of astrology. And they're putting together an incredible collection of essays and works and art from folks. And I'd love for you all to check that out. And yeah, I think the only other thing I would say is that, again, we're going to be folding all of this and a million more things into the app. We've got a ton more to add to it. So I hope that the book and the app are really nice companions for your learning. The book kind of takes it a little slower, and then the app kind of brings it all together in terms of how to apply it all. So I hope that in those places, some of your questions could get answered and you feel support, but definitely, like, let me know other things online that you want to hear about at me as you wish.
Thank you, Chani. And
Thanks so much.
thanks, and everyone. Good night.
Good night.